on the Ono Coffee channel, 10 a.m. weekdays. Matt's here. We're at Matt's warehouse. What's up, Matt? Matt's heading off to do the Nationals in Philly today, right? Yeah. He's a powerful man, but he's a silent man. So we're here roasting on the Giesen W6. You can see here. This is a roaster that's a few years old. We installed it here, finally got it running, and we roasted here once before. So we're back again roasting some Guatemala Jueves Tenango single SHB EP, which means strictly hard bean European prep. So high density beans, nice quality European prep. You know, I never understood what European prep means because I don't really care about that detail. As long as it's a nice tasting quality coffee, that's all that matters. We've had a little bit of problems this morning with the roaster, fluctuations with the flame, gas pressure. I shut it down to see if we can get the regulator to warm up. So I'm going to turn it back on, hit this button, turn it back on. Oh, that's... Okay, there we go. I think it's turn it back on with the bowl. Okay, there we go, You know, my roaster, the Petroncini, and the roasters that I've used in the past, like the UG22 and the old L12s, they're much more manual roasters. These are a little bit more newer with newer electronics, and it's a little bit weird. I just like to turn it on, flame it up, make sure the fans are running, everything's stirring, and go. And then we've had a little bit of problem with the temperature probe. The temperature probe has been showing 450 degrees for roast for the coffee, and it's like, wait, that's outside of our recipe. So obviously, and you can see the coffee here in the. This is definitely not 450, right? This is more like 420, 415. What's up, Mom? Man, oh, thank you. Yeah, so I'm here, and the hat is Mom knows this already, but I'm wearing the hat of the Delmarva Shorebirds. I was there last night in Salisbury, Maryland, where we did the coffee and cigars live stream, and so we're doing some of the stuff from the coffee and cigars live stream today. The coffee we used there last night, we're going to use today on the show, and I got this here. Yes, this is Matt's roaster, and okay, just gotta make sure the flame is back on. So we got the flame running. You can't really see that. We're not gonna worry about that. And we're here. Close that up. We're gonna now continue heating the roaster. Now I kept this stick of wood inside the roaster to prop the door open because a lot of times you just want to leave it so that especially if you're running the burners, you don't want it to overheat. Good morning, Dan. You want to, I like to leave it open so that there is constant airflow, so it kind of regulates the heat so it doesn't superheat the drum. Typically when you're starting, like this is the second roast of the day, when you're starting your roast, you want to preheat the roaster for about 45 minutes or so, low flame, just get the whole thing nice and hot. These are kind of old school style cast iron roasters, cast iron fronts and sides, cast iron drum. So you could start roasting right away, but your roast turns out to be relatively uneven the first roast. And even so, the roast will always be a little bit different the first one because you're trying to build the thermal mass of energy of heat inside your steel iron components. And once they get saturated, then it just roasts so much nicer. So it's always a lot better to roast multiple roasts in one session rather than do one or two and then come back the next time and do one or two. It's better just to do all the 10 that you need to do or 12 or whatever it may be so that you get the best results, the more consistent results. This particular one's a 6 kilo roaster. I'm using 11 pound batches, so 5 kilos worth of coffee at a time. Not bad. Not bad. So before we get rolling, now the problem with this is that the meter, Keone, what's up, man? How are you? Made some salted salmon for lomo. Oh, nice. Oh, totally use that right now. The problem here is that you can see it's showing this temperature, 445, 451. This is a relatively unreliable temperature, so we're just gonna have to go with it. So 451, it is I don't know what time it is. We're going to start. I've already got 11 pounds loaded. I'm going to start our timer once the coffee is fully loaded into the bin. And now it's rolling. Now we've also got the coffee cooling. This coffee that's in the cooling tray has cooled off completely. So now it's time to take it out. So we're going to take this out. Let me just get the bucket we're going to use. So here's the bucket of new coffee. Load that up. Next bucket. Sometimes they stick together. What I'm doing is carrying the scale to the bucket so we can measure the amount of coffee that we're pulling out. Alright, so now that's going to dump itself into the bucket, and yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing here. Is that right? Morning. Oh, Dan, good morning to you. Did I get everyone's messages? Nice to have you. Yeah, thanks. Alright, so that's what's going on. Let's have a look at our roast progress. So the try is, you can see we're still green. We're only about 2 minutes into the roast. We should have had our, what we call turning point. We should have had the turning point by now. I don't know because, well, now it looks like it's showing us 209. So there's some kind of short circuit in this wiring for the bean probe. This is the bean probe that actually, it's a temperature probe that sits in the mass of coffee, and somewhere in the connection there's some kind of issue because it fluctuates and it's become an unreliable source today. Which is a problem, but it's also not too much of a problem because one of the things when I started to learn how to roast is that, especially when I got my first roaster, one of my mentors and friends, Marty Curtis, came to help me set it up, and my roaster was very rudimentary. It's very simple. There was no temperature probes in it. There was only an analog exhaust gauge temperature right here in Celsius. And I was like, hey man, do we need to put in some temperature probes? He's like, no man, you need to learn how to roast without all that. Use your senses. And I was like, all right, fine. So no computers, none of the stuff that we have in modern times. But because I had to roast like that and really hone my roasting skills in a very manual mode, with an issue like this where the temperature gauge is unreliable, it's not a terrible thing. Like, it's a little bit harder to determine when the right start point would be, right? Typically we want to raise the temperature, like let's say in Fahrenheit, to 420 and then begin. Here it's a little more guesstimation. We're trying to see if it says 455 and maybe it's 30 degrees off, maybe that's right. And then we have to compensate in other ways. But as far as what we're looking for is we'll put the coffee in, we want to make sure the coffee, the roaster is heated enough so that we're getting hopefully we get to see the turn at the right moment. We also want to see, see this is a problem that we're having. I was going to say we want to see the temperature change here, but we're not seeing the temperature change because we are still too low. I'm going to show you this. We're still too low in our, I forgot to change this because I changed this to a lower pressure setting. That's irritating. Lower pressure setting when we were cooling down and trying to check the regulator. Forgot to turn it back up. But I think we'll still be all right. So we're looking now, like we talked about with espresso and making, we are in some respects looking for certain set points, right? So we want to see a color change, turning yellow, turning to the Maillard reaction within certain time frames. And that will kind of tell us that we have the right, correct application of heat to the coffee. We're going to be a little bit off on this one. Because we're 5.5 minutes into our roast. There's a little timer running here, 5.5 minutes. These are the things that, like, when I see people that have coffee roasting facilities or coffee roasting machines in their cafes, and I always wonder, like, how do they get the work done? Because I imagine that a lot of the customers that are coming in are going to want to engage the roasting guys. But really, when you're roasting, it does require a lot of concentration because there's really a lot of things that are happening at one time, and it's very easy to get distracted. Like even doing a live stream while roasting is a little bit dangerous because you never know, but if you're going to get too distracted. But let's have a look over here. We're going to take it over. We've got our bucket that we had tared earlier. And now it's telling us we have 9.353 pounds of roasted coffee, which is solid, that's what we want to see. I don't know, I'm not going to make that calculation now, but basically the idea is that you're looking to have, you're expecting to have somewhere between 14 to 16% weight moisture content loss of your coffee. If you're in that range, you're pretty good. That's pretty much what we expect. If it gets to be higher, 17, 18, 19, there could be some issues there. If the shrinkage is less, there could be other issues as well. Like, for example, if you're talking about less shrinkage, so if you're getting 10, 11%, 12%, you might think, oh yeah, great, because then now you're getting better yield. But the other question is your coffee dissipating moisture? So is the 153.32 pounds that you bought, is it still 153.32? Right? Maybe it now is only 120 pounds worth of coffee. So you're losing on both ends. Okay. Just going to put this in a big. And then we have to get our next setup ready. Peter's asking, is this live or pre-recorded? Well, I hope the fact that I'm asking the question will tell you. So this is a different bucket with different weights, so I'm tearing it differently. And then I'm going to get the green coffee, which is over here. You can see the green coffee in this bag. I don't have a half bag here. And we're looking to put out 11 pounds, 5 kilos. So today I'm expecting to do about 6 roasts. Oops. Yes, we are live. We're definitely live. Definitely live. Okay, so we got 8.5 pounds of green. 10.3. We're going up to 11. Okay, 11 pounds of green coffees up there. We got 11 pounds of green coffee here, and we've got a bunch of roasted coffee already. And this is hop number 3. Matt also gave me one of his hats, the Rat Czar, which has really upset a lot of the Baltimore City denizens, especially the politicians. Peter says, I'm going to roast some bean too. Excellent. Excellent. If you need a hat, this is all about rats. Baltimore City is inundated with rats. All right, so today, while we're roasting, let's see where we are. Okay. What I'm listening for now is that we're looking at, so we've got so the development's coming along. We're getting into the Maillard reaction now. Unfortunately, we are running slow on this roast at 10:45. But before we get there, we're going to get to a little bit about our coffee today. So today's coffee is one that I picked up yesterday for the Coffee and Cigars live stream that we do on the Ono Live channel. So every Thursday night, we have this Thursday night hang on the Ono Live channel where we talk about coffee and cigars. And since I was down in Salisbury, Annapolis, I went by a place called Rise Up Coffee just outside of Ocean City, Maryland, and picked up some cold brew from the barista. This is their Cold Brew Organic. And you know what, the ones that I had last night, pretty good. Nice chocolate tones, smooth, rounded. What time should you expect that first crack? So first crack we would like, under normal circumstances, to happen right around 9 minutes. So when we talked about time earlier, like the next batch should be closer to this. We want to see the turning point. If we had a reliable thermometer at the time, the turning point should be a minute and a half. Then we should start to see yellow development starting at 4 minutes. And then our first crack somewhere around 9. Now you can just start to hear the beginnings of the first crack like this. We just had a flame out. So there's still a little bit of issue with the regulator where we'll flame out and then restart. Now I can hear the roasting start to crack. I don't know if you can hear that. It's pretty loud from my perspective, but now for this particular coffee, here we are. I'm looking for first crack to finish, and then about 20-25 seconds, and then we drop. And that should give us a nice lighter city roast. That should give us this result. As far as like, we're just talking roast color profile. So at this phase, where it says 417 on the gauge, which actually should be fairly accurate. 419. Cracking should be done. It says 420. Okay, so cracking has subsided. I'm gonna roll it up to 1345. And then we're going to drop it. So here we go. We're almost going to drop the time. 45. It says 426 on the gauge. All right, so we've got a little bit of cracking left going on, but I think we're fairly close to our roast color profile, so let's just drop that in there. Yeah, that's pretty darn close. All right, so we've got this. We're gonna let this. We could turn around right away. We're about the temperature gauge still is reading 422, 419. It's dropping a little bit because the door is open, so we can start almost right away now with the next batch. What you want to do? You want to be able to turn the roast around. I'm going to bring it. it looks like we're getting fairly accurate temperature readings, so I'm going to bring it. It says 410. I'm going to wait till it goes to 420 and then drop the load. And then our gas pressure to 5 column inches of water. Right, so we had a little bit of a drop in temperature. 410, 413, 415, so we're almost done. 417, 419, 420. So reset our timer and start again. Alright, so that's pretty much where we are. We've got 5 column inches of water pressure of gas, so we should have the right amount of gas for this one to give us a much more closer time. Right, we want to adjust the pressure for the next batch. So the pressure's already been adjusted. Like remember in the middle of the last roast, when I noticed that it wasn't yellowing at the right pace, I adjusted the roast, the pressure. And the pressure of the gas delivery is relatively stable, well, except for the fluctuations in the regulator, but overall it's relatively stable. So I've already had it set to 5, so I don't have to set it again unless there's some kind of weird change. And it's just a matter of, just keeping your eye on it. Like you can see, it's the magnehelic gauge is right over here. Right? So, yeah, there it is. There it is. If you have questions about roasting, let me know. Let me go get the green coffee with a load of it here. One thing that I do like about this roaster is that, like a lot of the bigger roasters, it does cool the coffee fairly quickly. So we should expect good cooling within 4 minutes. All right, let's get this next batch. I'm going to take the last batch. I'm already at the end of this batch. Get all the detritus out of your green coffee. All right, so we've got 10.958 pounds for our last one. So 5 roasts today. George says, I love watching this, but I've got to log off. Oh man, no worries. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you being here. And nice shirt, thank you. Thank you. This is actually, for those who may not be familiar, this is a t-shirt from a school called Kamehameha Schools in Hawaii. My Hanai niece gave it to me. She was she went to school there, of course, and she gave this to me many years ago. And I'm happy to say that it was a little bit too tight before. Now I can wear it. Okay, so let's have some of this cold brew. Like I said, it's fairly smooth and chocolatey and quite enjoyable. It doesn't have a lot of those bright notes that a lot of modern, especially coffee shops have. Yeah, very pleasant. Just kind of nice, basic, kind of like chocolatey body, kind of like coffee that, it's fairly decent just like this. I mean, very enjoyable just like this. It doesn't have dirty notes. It doesn't have defect notes. Just clean, smooth, rounded, a little bit darker roasted, not dark, but a little bit darker roasted to get a little more, development out of that. Nice on its own, but also would be pleasant, I think, if you wanted to add cream and sugar. And considering where Rise Up is based on Maryland's Eastern Shore, they're serving a lot of the local clientele there. I think this is probably really straight up their alley. Like this is like, I bet their clientele thinks this is like bomb. What I also did is that before that I went to, okay, we're at 4 minutes. let's have a look. We're starting to get some yellowing. It's just starting to enter yellow. In this case, we probably could, if I really wanted to be at 4 minutes, we could have probably increased the pressure to maybe 5.5. What do you think?
It's good. Not bad, huh? Not bad. Did it flame out anymore?
Yeah, a couple times.
Oh.
Sorry. Working. It just happened. I'm very much of the flow with it kind of school thought. Like when things go wrong, we just kind of have to roll. Okay, so like I was saying, I went down to my local bakery, a place called Simon's, and I asked the girl, I said, hey, do you drink coffee? She's like, yeah. Do you drink cold coffee? Yes, I do. I do frappuccinos. I said, okay, so if you were to have anything here today with your frappuccino or your cold beverage, cold coffee, what would you have? She's like, just a raised glazed donut. And I was like, all right. Let me have one of these raised glazed donuts. And Simon's, as you can see, is a very old school Baltimore roaster, very like raised, typical donuts. It's not the fancy donut that you see now with all this beautiful stuff. It's just America. This is America. This is the donut of freedom, right? So, how was it extracted? The cold? You know, I don't know. I mean, they said the girl at the place told me that they do basically what I imagine as a toddy setup. So they come out with a real heavy concentrate, and then they did it. So I don't think they're doing anything like super fancy as their stuff. But in this case, I don't think you need to. I think it's a very solid tasting cold brew that's designed for a wide range of people. Like if you're like a hipster guy that wants to have these high notes, bright notes, you know, geisha-y notes, this is not the cold brew that's going to excite you. This is going to be the cold brew that like probably makes you depressed. However, if you're into like regular kind of coffee, that's coffee, chocolate coffee, this is the one. So she said this is what I should try. We're going to try it together. How are we doing? I'm reticent to start eating because, you know, I could lose the plot with the roasting. So we're starting to get more into the tannish. This is kind of like the phase of the roast that the aroma of the coffee that I like. Very hay, very kind of barley. It's actually my favorite aroma of the roasting process. Okay, so we're going to take this raised donut and the cold brew. Lovely raised donut. Yeah, man, if I am headed to work in my boots and I'm in my pickup truck, I need a mic too when I move around. Yeah, I know. This when we do these, I gotta work on that. But if I'm wearing my boots in my truck and I'm heading to work, this is the taste of America right here. We just had another flame out again. Taste of America. And this is true if you're Trump or Harris. All right. How are we doing? We are now 8 minutes, 15 seconds. Oh, the ambient noise. Yeah, I know. We'll work on that for future videos. 8 minutes, almost 9 minutes. One of the things I've had trouble with is actually connecting wireless microphones to the iPhone 15. Like, it doesn't play so well. Oh, we need to get this out of here. This is where the problems of talking and being distracted come in. And one of the things that I don't like about this roaster, like I don't like about the L12 or the new P12, is that part of the cooling tray resides under the drum housing, so it makes it a little bit harder for me to do this. Now I'm hearing cracking in the roaster, which is telling me that it's almost time to drop. So I need to get this stuff out of here as quickly as possible. Only so that I don't mix it. Now, like I said before, I'm waiting for the end of the crack to drop the roast. The last batch dropped out at 9.402 pounds, which is definitely an improvement because the one before that was 9.353. So we're getting a better yield because we're getting better roast profiling, and that is done. Okay. Whew, that was a little bit hairy. All right, time to start again. Time to start the next batch. That went a little bit better. Definitely better. We finished out at 10:35, 10:39. 411. So we're going to raise up the temperature back to 420. Yeah, that looks fairly consistent. It's good. Okay, 420. And start the timer now. We're rolling. We're rolling. One more roast left after this one, and then we're done. You want some coffee? Some of the cold brew? I don't have any more cups down there. Sure. So, were there any questions that I've been missing? Okay, there. Kenny asked, really the best donuts I've ever had was the donuts that's sold by street sellers. When you come to a stop, stop late in the countryside of Thailand. 80 cents for 3 4. That sounds delicious. How is the cold brews that your cold siphon makes? You know, honestly, I haven't, since we made those videos, they've actually been in storage while we've been building the new shop, so I really haven't had a chance to play with it. Matt's been playing more with his. And I mean, they make nice quality, beverages. We're still trying to figure out the right recipe to use with it and the right technique, because there's different ways that you can heat the vessel to generate that steam that creates the vacuum. I personally haven't had a lot of time to play with it over the last 2 months because just getting all this other stuff together. We are rolling with it. Get a little bit paranoid because I lose track of what I'm doing. Oh no, are we burning? Like I have had times when I've lost track of the roast and basically lit the entire roaster on fire. with an explosion that threatened to like burn down the building. So I get a little bit antsy once in a while. But to answer your question, I think it can make great cold brew. I just haven't had a lot of time to really tune it in. Like it doesn't have a lot of brightness, not too many high notes, just kind of coffee, right? And this is my breakfast, even though it's nearly 11 o'clock in the morning. I drove back from the game last night after the live stream, got home right around 1 o'clock, went to bed, probably about 2 o'clock. I've been having terrible, sleeping this week. Like, my mind is, racing, so it's like I can't really get a good night's sleep. It's pretty terrible. Surprisingly, home, on the drive home, I wasn't, tired. And I didn't sleep well. I haven't slept well all week. So we're pushing against 4 minutes. And we're just starting to get to the yellow phase. Just mixing that up. Oh, I got it down. So we're kind of on track. We're kind of on what we want to see. Now at 4 minutes, this coffee is also well cooled down, so we can take it out. Whoa. Let us eject the coffee. All right, here we go. Even though it's relatively cool for the day, because there's so much heat emanating from the roaster, it is, my front is hotter than my back. And we do have the fan, you can see this fan right here running. So that fan is running, trying to keep things cool, but still, it's always hot when you're sitting from the roaster. Okay, that looks good. Getting a little bit less coffee that last round from the previous roast. I think probably because I'm losing a little bit also as it falls out of the chute onto the, and missing the bucket and onto the floor. Oh, I should show you that. So you can see here we're getting more development starting to happen. We're in that phase that I really like for the aroma. And yeah. Sometimes when you're just working by yourself, there are periods of moments when you can kind of chill and relax. Sometimes I'll just sit down and chill and just wait for the next milestone. I'm not always checking each phase of the roast. You'll see forms that we're using or we have that have first crack and all these different details with the times and temperatures. A lot of times I'm not, I had another flame out again. A lot of times I'm not actually recording those because I pretty much know after a while that when the roaster's really running, that we're going to have the right curve as long as we're hitting the right points, the intervals. Like right now we're at 7 minutes 42, 44 seconds. We would like to see first crack start in about a minute or so, minute and a half. Yeah. You can see here, if you look closely, we're starting. It looks a little bit wrinkly. That's because of the drying phase, and then as it starts to reach the point where it starts to expand. Right now it's endothermic, right? So it's absorbing the heat, driving the moisture out through this whole phase. Now it's going to reach a point where we get the first crack, where that crinkliness will start to tighten and become smooth, because now the bean is becoming exothermic, and then it actually will pop. The cracking will pop. The cracking has just started now, and we are at 9:04. Now we're kind of in the range that we're looking for this kind of roast bean. And you can see it's getting a little bit tighter looking on the skin. So anything that falls out, I tend to toss during when I'm trying, okay? Now we're really deep into the rolling of the first crack. And 9:45. Temperature gauge looks like it's running correctly, reading 401 Fahrenheit. We're looking to be close to 418. Somewhere between 415 and 420. Again, I don't know if the reading is so, I don't know if I can be so reliant upon that. But we're waiting for this cracking to subside, and then we're going to run about 15 to 20 seconds longer, and then done. And now we're getting there. I'm going to stop right around 10:32, 33. I think I would like to let it develop a little bit more. Temperature gauge is 413. We're going to come up to, still getting some residual cracking, 415. One more meter. 1050. And now it comes out 10 minutes, 50 seconds. Went to about 418 on the roast. We're still getting some fluctuations with the regulator. Ooh. All right, let's get this back up. Oops. We're gonna go to our last run. Now we've got just under 11 pounds, 10.958 pounds. We should have fairly much the same results, the same approach, because it's not really that much of a difference. So I'm heating it back up. Having the door open, of course, dives the temperature a little bit inside the chamber. I'm going to bring the temperature back up. Whoa. Matt, did you hear that? I have no idea. It might sound like it came from the chamber beneath the cooling tray.
Is it a beat?
It could be.
Drop on that.
It could have been getting crushed or dragged along, but that was kind of surprising.
I heard it.
But it sounded like it came from underneath here, so.
Huh.
here's something to watch out for. Once in a while, you have to pull these old beans, dirty, not dirty, but like burnt beans. They get stuck inside the chamber somewhere. And
yeah, I bet it was a bean getting
or under.
wedged in.
Where are these guys coming from? And that guy. Where's he coming from?
Good.
Sometimes you'll find beans that don't have as much density that got through the sorting process, and so you may have to pick those out. The more, typically in the world of coffee, the more you pay, the cleaner the coffee. This is a fairly decent quality. It's European prep, so it's good Cold Brew. See, there we go. Confused again. Flame out again. Okay, now we're back on. 478. So I'm a little bit distracted with that, so now see the air and the beans are now tied in together. Or no, they're separate.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
This is the problem that what happens when you get a little bit distracted, and that's why you have to always be careful, is that I already pulled the stick out that closed the door in order to heat the temperature back up from 410 to 420. But then we heard this crunching noise and started talking about it, which distracted my attention. And because it just kept heating at 5 column inches, it reached 476, which is too hot to drop the coffee into. So now I'm using the stick again to bring the temperature back down. We're at 437. So once we reach about 415, we can pull the stick out, let it reheat, just stabilize a little bit, and then hit it back. Q&A says, after you roast, do you typically do a quality check of the beans prior to bagging, or do you just bag from the cool roasted batch? In most cases, we do taste the coffee. That's why when we talk about the whole, like yesterday, we talked a bit about that whole thing about, how soon can you taste the coffee? Like, why can I taste the coffee why is the coffee from Juan when he roasted it immediately and brewed it was really good? Because we're not getting to that occlusion thing. So now, since our test last year, I've been kind of feeling that we need to taste the coffee immediately to make sure that it's good. If not, if we don't get to that, sometimes we don't get to do that. And now we're pushing it back to over a week. And that's only the case, in those cases, it's only because sometimes we're roasting well ahead of our retail, of our client base, right? Like, so one of the restaurants we work for, I know that they're taking so much coffee per week. So we'll actually roast a week or two ahead of their actual deliveries, so that by the time they get the coffee, it has stabilized and can be used right away. Whereas, and that allows us to like taste the coffee later if necessary. Okay, now we're at 388. So the opposite happens. You get distracted and start talking, and then it dies below the temperature. So now I'm going to close the thing up. Still running at 5 column inches, raise the temperature back, and then we're going to begin our roast. And by the time that we start, this should be, actually this is fairly cool now. So we can take this out, or start to take it out. And stuff this. This is what we used to do with UG22. I'm just playing porpoising with the temperature. Let's get this thing loaded in first, and then we're going to worry about it. I have to say, I'm actually much more. I tend to be sharper when I'm not doing these things at once. All right, come on, baby. Come on, drop. All right, here we go. Here we go. One more. 422, 420. Start now. All right. Now we're rolling. Now I can finally focus on getting this coffee out of here. All right, now we're rolling. Okay, last batch of the day, and we'll be finishing up soon. So always look for your weird colored coffee beans that are too low in density or something like that. Any thought, any questions that I missed? Oh yeah, okay, quality check control. Okay, great. The last one, 9.316. A little bit less quantity. 2 minutes into it, we're getting nice, starting to whiten on the green bean. So we're roasting the Guatemala Huehue Tenango, or Guatemala coffee from the Huehue Tenango region. It's a strictly hard bean, so high density, and they call it European prep. European prep, I think, is just the way that they sort it. Like I said, I don't really know because I don't really worry about that designation. How we look at coffee at Spro is really about flavor, quality of the cup quality, as well as defect counts when we're sorting them, or grading them. And so these are fairly well graded coffees, all specialty grade. No primary defects. In these cases, those are fairly green, so I just put them back in. And we're still early in the process, so I don't think that's really going to make too much of a difference. What I really need to drink is water. So we're 4 minutes, 4 minutes into the roast, and we're starting to get that yellowing. This is moving at the pace that we want to see for the roasting. Yeah, like that. Really a nice coloration. If you guys have any questions about coffee roasting, let me know. We're here roasting. One thing about coffee roasters like this, and the Giesen, a lot of modern coffee roasting, a lot of coffee roasters, if you're buying coffee roasters used, support tends to be abysmal. Had a lot of trouble getting like a lot of information from Giesen. Baseball time. Oh. Is this from the Nationals?
Yes.
Matt is the official coffee provider for the Washington Nationals baseball team. In the locker rooms with the players, serving coffee. On the field. Rubbing shoulders with Brooks Robinson.
Guess who we saw the other night in the game?
Who?
Cal.
Oh, Cal was at the
He was
game?
on the field with us.
Oh, nice.
He owns the team.
The Nationals?
The Orioles. That went out.
So did he? No, he just came back on. Oh. When it goes out, it's quiet. When it comes back on, it pops. I think it's the regulator getting cold.
But I did like 5 back to back and it went out like once.
Maybe it's the. I wonder, like, when we had the 20-pound thing, this happened a lot more. So I wonder if, like how many roasts have you done on the tank?
And there's no way it's empty. That's 100 gallons.
100 pounds.
Or 100 pounds.
I don't know either. I'll have to consult more people that are knowledgeable than I.
Unless it just doesn't like you.
Maybe that's
It has a personality.
It wouldn't be the first thing that didn't like me.
It has a personality of its own. It knows your aura.
7 minutes, 22 seconds. We are at 384 Fahrenheit, supposedly. There's our roast profile. Like I said before, in one of the earlier roasts, you can kind of see here that what do you call it? That it's getting a little bit like crinkly looking. Kelly says, okay, a Nationals baseball cap in Orioles country. Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny because Matt is actually a very, very big Orioles fan, but he got hired by the Nationals to come do coffee for him. So how do you feel about that? Like, is that like a conflict of interest? That's what
They're
asking.
different leagues.
They noticed that you're wearing a Nationals hat in O's country.
They're different leagues. They're fine.
Yeah, the National League versus
And
American.
they're not good.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that. All right, now we're getting like a really heavy first crack. So we're getting close. We are at 397 degrees and 8 minutes 40 seconds. So the crack is coming a little bit faster, probably because we got the same application of heat, but slightly lower, about a half a pound lower in weight volume. So like in previous roasts, I'm waiting for it to slow down, and then we'll go maybe another 20 seconds after the first cup. Turn on the stirring and exhaust so that I tend to forget to turn those on before I go. And part of the problem that I tend to forget it is that, oh, now it's slowing down. 410, so we're gonna look at about, presuming the gauge is working correctly, looking to do about it's 413 now, looking to do around 418. So let's, you can see it's fairly good color. Up to 417. Flame off. Oh. 419. All right, there we go. Slightly faster roast and with less. So same application of heat, lower quantity by half a pound. So a little bit faster roast all the way around. It kind of developed really nicely for the yellowing as well as the first crack. Kind of where we want it to be. So that's actually might be a little bit better. Right, a little bit better. Let's put our coffee. Zen 1, what's good, man? You're asking, Zen 1's asking the drum speed. Do you know what the drum speed is on this? Like, can you adjust the drum speed on this?
Yeah, I think this is like 43 hertz, whatever hertz means.
Yeah, you're right. Drum speed, 49 hertz.
49.
Fan speed is 52%.
I wonder if it's flaming out because of the fan speed is high.
That could be.
Because you can see the flame blowing in there.
Yeah, I wonder if we could. Change that. I don't know. We'll run. Maybe it should be like 48%. All right, there it is. Our roast, our last roast of the day, roast number 6 of the Guatemala Huehue Tenango. Strictly hard bean, European prep, blah, 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 blah. And we've been drinking the Cold Brew organic from Rise Up Coffee. Not bad, not bad. As well as having a little bit of raised yeasted donut from Simon's Bakery. So can't complain, can't complain. All right, well, hopefully that's kind of interesting. Now I'm gonna let this thing cool down. It takes about probably 45 minutes for it to cool down, so we can shut it all off. And yeah, so hope you have a great weekend. It's gonna be a hopefully beautiful weekend for you. It's a beautiful weekend here. I don't know what I'm doing this week. I got some things going on. I can't remember. Last night I'm telling what I'm doing. I can't remember this morning. But event tomorrow or something. And then, oh yes. So if you're here in Baltimore or you want to come to Baltimore next weekend, the 24th of August, we're going to be having we're participating in the Vent Coffee Roasters Coffee Fest, which is an event here in Baltimore City hosted by Vent Coffee Roasters. So Vent has this cold brew competition where they are serving, well, they have all these roasters come together to make a cold brew and serve it to the attendees, and then the attendees vote on who their favorite cold brew is. So, if you have time to come down, we're going to be competing in that, participating in that, I guess, really not really competing, but participating. And that'll be a nice thing. You can spend the whole day doing coffee-related activities if you're really into it. I think it starts at 10 a.m. If you go to Vent Coffee Roasters, V-E-N-T, Coffee Roasters, and they'll have the information on their website or on their Instagram. You can look it up and come down, and then fast forward the week after that, which is Labor Day weekend on August 31st. If you're interested in trying this coffee with a cigar selected by George Brightman, we're going to be having a cigar and coffee pairing at Capital Cigar in Bethesda, Maryland on August 31st from noon to about 2 o'clock. So there's a couple events that are coming up that, you know, if you're in the area or can come to the area, might be interesting to check out. All right, so hope you have a wonderful weekend. Back again on Monday with more Coffee Q&A. And until then, hope you have